Welcome to the arena.
Big battlefield.
But we're back.
We're back. Let's do it. Baked Battlefields. This is part 2, y'all. We are talking about the Battle of Soissons. Soissons.
I'm hungry hearing that name. It sounds like something good you eat. I'll take 2 of those with Swiss cheese and ham.
Oh, that sounds fire. That's a new pastry we should make. The Soissons.
Yeah, I feel like it's too close to swastika. I feel like we get a lot of business from people we don't want.
True, but business is business, and turns out there's a lot of them around. So, especially where you're at.
Oh yeah. Out in the valley, every time I'm at a light, they're hailing me. They look like they're looking for a cab, but looking right at me. They're like, "Hey, brother, how's it out there? You surviving?"
Oh God, those fucking people.
Yeah. I don't look like a Democrat at all.
No, you do not. Neither do I, though, man. Like, I look like I just got out of fucking Attica, man. Look at me.
Yeah, you look like a Nazi scientist.
Jesus Christ.
You look like one of the smart ones. And I look like a chef. I look like I just make food for the Nazis. More pigs and blankets. Here you go.
Hell yeah.
I heard a joke. It's a street joke. Okay, you ready? This guy's in the woods, right? And he sees a leprechaun. And he chases it down and he jumps on the leprechaun. And he goes, "Ha ha. Now you have to give me a pot of gold."
Okay.
And the leprechaun goes, "That's fine, but you need to let me fuck you in the ass first." And the guy's like, "I don't know." And the leprechaun's like, "Look, no one's around, no one's gonna know, and you're gonna be rich afterwards." And so the guy bends over, and the leprechaun's banging him in the ass. And the leprechaun goes, "How old are you?" And the guy goes, 26. He's like, "Aren't you a little old to be believing in leprechauns?"
No. Damn. Oh my God. My dad would tell those Johnny jokes. The kid in school, Johnny. And my favorite one that he told was, Johnny's in high school, 18-year-old kid, always been a pain in the ass. And they are playing a game. It's a rainy day. They have a substitute teacher. They're like, "We're not going to do class today. We're just going to play a game. All right. And here's what I want you to do. I'm going to reach into the teacher says, I'm going to reach into my lunch bag and I'm going to describe something and you have to tell me what it is." So she reaches into the bag and she's been prepped, right? She knows Johnny's a little shithead. So she reaches in and she goes, "Okay, what I'm holding is round, orange, and you can eat it." And Johnny's hand goes straight up. And she's like, "No, not Johnny." But Annie has her hand up. She goes, "Annie," she goes, "An orange." And she says, "No, a tangerine, but it shows you're thinking." She reaches back in. She says, "Okay, what I'm holding is round, it's purple, and you can eat it." Johnny's hand goes up. She's like, "No." But Billy has his hand up. So she says, "What, Billy?" And he says, "It's a grape." She says, "No, it's a plum, but it shows that you're thinking." And Johnny goes, "I know how to play this game really well. Can I please have a chance?" And she's like, "All right, Johnny, fine. You can play." So he reaches into his pocket and he goes, "All right, what I'm holding is long, hard, and has a purple tip." And she goes, "Johnny!" And he goes, "No, it's a pencil, but it shows you're thinking."
You're 5. Your dad's telling you these jokes.
I was like 7. I was like 7. Took me forever
He's telling
to
you and the
figure
rest
out.
of the class. He's telling you and the rest of the class when you got to invite your parents to the class.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit went tell.
Took me forever to figure out why they both had purple tips. I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? So we're going to pick it up with talking about who Charles the Simple was. Okay. I'm going to get into the characters here really quick. So Charles the Simple, or Charles the Third, he belonged to the Carolingian dynasty. He's born in 879 and he ruled West Francia effectively from like 898 until 922. His nickname comes from the Latin word simplex, which means more like straightforward or sincere rather than stupid, like it does today. But he had a lot of enemies, and they would have agreed with the stupid side of it. Really consequential reign. He gains control of Lotharingia, and negotiates the settlement that ultimately creates Normandy. All right, and he tries to preserve the Carolingian royal authority. And this is the line that comes from Charlemagne. Okay. And he tries to suppress the growing independence of the nobles, but he relies on some people that are unpopular. Okay, he has a favorite who goes by the name of Agano, and a favorite back then means your lover. Okay, so this is his gay lover, and that ends up provoking a rebellion. Okay, and that leads us to the Battle of Soissons. Right?
That pissed off some people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like these guys are always doing it with the windows open. Time to revolt.
Yeah, generally it had less to do with the homosexuality of it and more on how much influence the favorite had, right? If they were pulling a lot of money, taking away prestige from the nobles, if they were in the ear of the emperor and making decisions, that is generally what was going to piss them off more. And then they used the homosexuality as kind of a, I don't know, like a
Like an
amendment.
excuse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
So the Carolingian dynasty, this is the ruling family that produced Charlemagne. Okay. And it dominated most of Western and Central Europe from the 700s into the 900s. And its name comes from the family's repeated use of the name Charles, right? And of course, the most famous is Charlemagne. Charlemagne literally means Charles the Great, Le Mans, Charles Le Mans. And he creates an empire that represented the dynasty's political and cultural kind of like zenith, okay, the high point. By 923, Carolingian kings like Charles the Simple, they had a very impressive bloodline, but they really, really struggled to control powerful nobles. All right. And part of that is because after Charlemagne died, the empire got split up between his sons. All right. So Charles the Simple becomes king of West Francia in 898, and then he takes Lotharingia. By the 920s, though, his relationship with major West Frankish magnates has gone down the drain really badly. All right. Even though he comes from this incredible line, Charlemagne is considered the first Holy Roman Emperor. All right. So this is a tremendous family, tremendous lineage, tremendous change in European history. But by the time Charles is ruling, the empire is fractured into these competing kingdoms. And even though the family name still carries immense symbolic weight, when you have an individual Carolingian king that lacks military resources or control of his nobles, you're going to have a lot of instability. And that's where we're at. All right.
feel like we're there now.
Yeah, no shit. That's why I tell these stories, dude. That's why I tell these fucking stories. Like, I thought that name was supposed to mean something. This guy can't even wipe his own ass. Or in Trump's case, he just shits into a bag.
Oh, I wish I had that money. I'd be shitting in a bag too.
That's so gross, dude. Just sitting there playing fucking Madden, and you're like, oh yeah.
That'd be cool.
All right, so simple. Okay, he gets called the simple. That comes from simplex, the Latin word simplex. So I bring this up because we have a tendency to be very lazy when it comes to history. We just take things at face value. But he did have, amenable qualities, right? He was straightforward. He was sincere. He was open, guileless.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, exactly. Gaping, you might say. So, he was really anything but intellectually stupid. All right. Charles the Simple does not mean Charles the Dumbass. And I just want to make sure that that's clear.
We got that. We got that. I feel like you told me a couple times, like, I'm simple.
Yeah, exactly. Simple Simon motherfucker.
I got it. I got it. All right. Won't make fun of him.
I mean, his name really should be Charles the Straightforward, right? But he is dealing with basically everyone around him playing medieval Succession, which is an awesome show, by the way. So calling a man straightforward in the 900s court politics is like writing does not understand scams or threats, right? Like he's almost very naive in a lot of ways, right? But not stupid. Now, he has a very interesting point. He comes to power at a very interesting point in European history because he has to deal with Vikings. And Charles is remembered for reaching an agreement with one of the most famous Vikings in history. And that guy's name is Rolo. And this goes down in 9/11. If you've ever seen the show, they covered that, okay? Rolo is an absolute G, dude. He is like, he is potentially related to, like, I don't know what you would call it, like mythological legends. It's just an incredible time in history. And for those that don't quite know what Vikings are, Vikings were Scandinavian raiders, but they were also traders. They became settlers, immensely creative and successful explorers. And we best know them as warriors. And they operated in what we call the Viking Age, which is essentially like the 700s, early 800s, all the way up to 1066, when ironically, William the Conqueror, who is the grandson of Rolo, a Viking, invades England and ends the Viking Age. And he creates what's called the Norman invasion of England. And Normans literally mean Northmen, hence the region of Normandy, right? It's all connected. And Vikings were not like a single unified army or, an ethnicity under one king. Different groups operated independently. And they often fought each other, right? As often as they fought the Franks or the English or the Irish or whatever. During the 800s
Yeah,
and
they
9...
don't.
Yeah.
They don't seem like people you can negotiate with or trade with. They seem like they take whatever they do whatever, and if you say something, they kill whatever.
It depended on the mission, right? So one of the things about the Vikings is coming from Scandinavia, especially. So Norwegian Vikings, Swedish Vikings, these types. There's not a shit ton of arable land up there, right? There's not a lot of room to grow things and create these large settlements that can compete with Western Europe. And that was one of the forcing functions of them becoming such amazing global travelers, is they were looking for places that they could pull in resources. And that was the primary mission, was these raids. And they'd go and they'd raid churches and bring back gold, and then they'd trade off the gold for things that they needed. But as the generations continued and the decades and centuries continued, they started to realize, hey, we can actually just settle in these places, right? We can actually just make these places our home. And
I'm
that,
tired.
yeah, exactly. Like, this is not
I'm
sustainable.
tired.
Exactly. It's not sustainable, right? And by the 800s and early 900s, Viking fleets repeatedly start entering West Francia, and they're going down the big rivers like the Seine and the Loire, and they're sacking settlements, and they're forcing local magnates to organize defenses to try to end these kinds of threats. And fighting Vikings built the reputations of people like Odo and Robert. But Charles the Simple, they get raided by Rolo, and he creates an agreement with Rolo, and that transformed that Viking force from an external threat into a recognized territorial power inside the Frankish political system. Okay. He had to convert to Christianity and marry one of his daughters and all of that type of stuff. But Rolo is a badass. Okay. Scandinavian war leader. He becomes the founder of the ruling dynasty of Normandy. And after years of Viking warfare along the Seine, and a defeat connected with the campaign around the Battle of Chartres in 911, he makes this negotiation with Charles the Simple. And Rollo accepted territory around Rouen and the mouth of the Seine. And he agreed to defend that region from future Viking incursions. And he formally enters the Christian political order, and he's baptized. All right. But the details of his conversion and his personal beliefs kind of are debated. Generally speaking, Vikings were very comfortable converting because they were like, you're going to dip me in some water. Okay. Like,
Yeah,
they
I had a bath. I
exactly,
need a bath. Free
exactly,
bath. You know what I mean? I don't care if the
exactly,
guy's washing me.
exactly. So it's unclear if he was like this super devout Christian. Probably not. He was probably still true to Norse gods in his own way, but he did it as a, as a part of the dog and pony show. Okay. And his descendants transformed Normandy into one of medieval Europe's most aggressive and successful principality. And then the irony of his grandson conquering England in 1060, which brings an end to the age of Vikings. Okay. So Charles gives up territory. He recognizes this Viking because he's converted. He creates an alliance with him. And now he has new defenders against future raiders. So that's a pretty good
Yeah,
deal.
he's like, yeah, call me gay. You gotta talk to Rolo, guy with the big axe. Call me gay one more time. How dare you?
I feel like it's so like, when I think of Rolo, I think of the candies, and I'm like, that's not badass enough for Rolo. Like, he deserves something better than a fucking little
I'm
tiny
I'm
caramel.
I'm so glad you said that, because immediately I heard that name. I was thinking about the candy. I'm like, God, I gotta change my fat thinking.
You always get, I never have them.
Anything you Even if you said banana, I think about chocolate covered banana. You know, strawberry. The guy's name was Strawberry, chocolate covered strawberry.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even when you talked about his gay lover, I was like chocolate covered gay lover. You know, it's just all about food. All about food.
God. Oh, God. Ugh. The next time I give
Chocolate
your wife
covered
a
lover is
hug,
a video I looked up.
the next time I give your wife a hug, if she's sticky, I know why. He covered her in chocolate.
Only way
Or if
I'll eat anything.
if I shake your hand and it's sticky, I'll be like, oh.
No, that's most likely food.
So this deal is really less that like Charles surrendered part of France. And it's really more that Charles outsourced frontier security to the Viking that was currently occupying the frontier, right? Charles looks at the Viking problem and he says, what if we give one Viking a title and make the other Vikings his problem, right? And that allows him to deal with the nobles and the fracturing of the Carolingian Empire and all of this other stuff. So on its face, it actually looks like a pretty good deal, right? It's not a defeat. It's medieval subcontracting is what it is.
Yeah, it's called a manager. I don't want to deal with these idiots. I get that guy in charge of them.
Yeah.
Guys put
Yeah.
chocolate on everything. Fucking moron.
French food though, man,
Ugh.
chocolate, they do it right. They really do. It's not the best
Oh yeah,
chocolates in the world.
desserts, but the dinner is like the normal food. It's like, get this cream out of here. What am I, Charles the Simple? Come on, get out. Eat it. Too creamy.
You think it's my first fucking
Yeah.
it's on my first rodeo. Get this shit out of here. Ah. All right. So I mentioned Lotharingia, right? Lotharingia. Sorry. Um, Lotharingia is the contested Middle Kingdom, and it runs through territories that are now divided among France, Belgium, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and Germany. So Charles' attention to Lotharingia increased his resources and his prestige, but it really irritated magnates in West Francia who believed that the king was neglecting them and favoring outsiders. All right. Now, Lotharingia was named after Lothair II, and it's that northern portion of what had been Middle Francia. Okay, the Meuse, Moselle, the Lower Rhine area. Um, and he gained recognition as king there in 911. Tons of resources, tons of prestige. Okay, but it pissed off a lot of people. But that became his refuge during the rebellion. All right. And that's why it adds a little bit more significance. So Charles has a kingdom full of angry nobles. So naturally, he invests most of his attention in another region full of different angry nobles. This is where he kind of fucks up, right? You always need to keep your home clean, right? Tend to what's going on at home, and then you can go out. And he doesn't do that. And that's problematic. All right. Now, Charles, he even though he has lost his prestige, he's still a dangerous guy. All right. You can't remove the legitimacy of his title and the tie into the Carolingian dynasty. Those things really mattered back then, right? Royal legitimacy wasn't this like abstract philosophical concept that I think we think of today. Okay. It had profound effects on oaths and alliances, church recognition, which went hand in glove with ruling, any kind of marriages, inheritances. And when it came to the military, having that kind of connection could be the determining factor of if an army was willing to fight for a king or for someone rebelling against them. Okay. So Charles could lose an army and still remain politically radioactive because bloodlines don't need troop formations to cause problems. All right.
You talked about him coming up with oaths and truce. I feel like Charles is the one that came up with the spitting in the hand and then shaking hands with other people. Like, "Ugh, hey, you go, shake my hand. No, I don't want to. Kill him.
That's so great.
It's so gross. Anyone that does that, or the whole, and this is another way AIDS probably could have started too, even back then, is cutting your hand open and then shaking hands with that. That's disgusting.
Blood
That's
oaths.
barbaric.
Yeah.
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 No, uncle.
I just Googled where the spit shape originates. Oh, it's much later. It's like in the 1800s.
Yeah, that's
Ew.
disgusting. Whoever came up with that is a filthy human being and probably died at 25.
Well, yeah, most people did.
Yeah.
Most people did, right? All right. So let's go back to Loverboy. All right. Haganah. Haganah. So he's one of Charles's trusted favorites, and he's associated with the king's Lotharingian political circle. All
Oh,
right. So Hagano basically represents everything that the West Francia nobles resented. All right. He's an outsider gaining royal favor. He has offices. He's been given land. He now has access to the king and influence over men who considered themselves the natural partners of the kings. And Hagano, I mean, he was a relatively minor Lotharingian nobleman. Okay. But he becomes his most trusted advisor. And this happens about 918. He is connected to Charles through Charles's first wife, Frederuna. But he didn't have a ton of wealth. He didn't have this, rock star lineage, or even a really established political standing. Okay, as like a great magnate of the kingdom. So Charles's decision to grant him these lands and he had ecclesiastical properties, it pissed the nobles off something fierce. All right. They saw those types of rewards as theirs just by custom, right? And their status. So Hagano doesn't become the sole reason for the rebellion, but he becomes a symbol of everything the aristocracy hated about Charles being king. Okay. Favoritism, foreign influence, and a king that seems to just be ignoring the expectations of his most powerful supporters. So Hagano is the guy who joins the company 6 months ago and suddenly gets a corner office, three departments, and the CEO's personal phone number for a little, you know what I'm saying?
oh yeah, Charles was attracted to him for sure. I've seen this with women in companies. You're busting your ass, and all of a sudden, the chick in the short skirt and the tits out, she gets a better position than you. And like, do I gotta have my tits out? What's going on here? Should I convert to lady? What's
No,
happening here?
unless it's a threat, unless you're like, I'm going to show you my tits unless you give me a job, then it's not going to work.
But and the jealousy is always going to ruin a situation, and I feel like we're leading it to there.
100%. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And favorites across history were dangerous, right? A medieval king didn't, primarily reward people with a salary and a parking space. Okay, he gave them things that created incredible power, land and monasteries. He gave them offices at the court. They had certain legal privileges. Again, that political access, right? They were also protected, and they could also reward their own followers. So now you're bringing more foreigners in that are getting things that the noblemen want. Okay,
Oh,
so
like the Democrats.
Jesus Christ, I knew you were going to say something. I knew you were going to say something. I thought it was going to be something Mexican.
Yeah, sanctuary city.
Soissons for first. So basically, when a king assigns a favorite, everyone else could potentially calculate what they might lose. Okay. And nothing is going to bring aristocracies together like watching somebody that they consider beneath them receiving property that they had mentally already stolen, right? The rich hate that shit.
Yeah.
By the way, dude,
Republicans.
the beard looks good. I like it's longer. The beard looks good.
I'm trying to look like a Viking, so they
It
changed
looks
my
good.
name to Rolo.
You need to trim this part because it's like you look kind of like Wolverine.
That's what I'm going for. Wolverine's a badass. I'm a pussy. I'm trying to look tougher. Hard on these streets. Hard coaching these kids and getting respect. I gotta scare them. I got an army. I gotta have respect me. You know? I'll go to war here in a couple of weeks.
Jesus. So all of that leads us to a dispute. Okay, the Abbey of Chelles dispute. The revolt against Charles intensifies when Charles reassigned control or like revenues connected to the Abbey of Chelles. And this is located east of Paris, really prestigious royal monastery. And it was founded in the 600s. And it's historically associated with Frankish queens and princesses and noblewomen. But it possessed estates, was very politically connected, and was really well known as like or it had a tradition, I guess, of learning and manuscript production. So it has a lot of utility. Okay. And in 922, Charles the Simple reportedly attempts to remove the abbey from the control of his aunt, Rothilde, and he gives it to Hagano. Now, Rothilde was Hugh the Great's mother-in-law. And that move threatened both the Robertian family, their interests, and aristocratic control over valuable church property. Okay. And this really helps transform resentment against Hagano into open rebellion against the king. Okay. So some of the summaries here make this sound like everyone started a civil war over a monastery, but monasteries did control a significant amount of wealth. They had a ton of land, a lot of dependents. They had more rights than other institutions, and they had prestige, right? Catholicism was it was interwoven into everything in Western Europe by the 10th century. Absolutely.
Don't forget to give us 10%. God is good.
Exactly.
Guys dressed better than me. What the hell?
Yep. So the Abbey of Chelles is an incredibly wealthy royal convent. So controlling its revenues and patronage carried substantial political value. And that makes this reassignment far more consequential than, like it would be today, a modern church with a committee handover or something like that. So this is not an argument over who gets to organize the bake sale at the church, right? This is somebody that now has the ability to control a landholding corporation. They have control over a new political network. They have direct access to religious institutions that really do control a lot of the state. And they get a ton of family assets all at once. And that makes them a threat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the revolt begins, all right? By 920, major nobles had already confronted Charles and tried to force him to abandon Hagano. Now, the king survives that immediate crisis, but the underlying conflict was still there. And by 922, Robert and other magnates say, fuck it, and they rebel openly. They withdraw their support from Charles, and they choose Robert as the new king. And Charles repeatedly gets warned that Hagano is destroying his coalition. And his response appears to be, what if I promote him harder? Like maybe the people will like him then. Okay. But that's not loyalty. That is like, you know what it's like? It's like being the guy that gets kicked out of the group chat. It's like everybody is just like, ugh, ugh, ugh. And then finally someone just deletes him. Like, we're done. We don't want him here anymore. He
Right.
boxed
Right.
himself. He absolutely boxed himself.
Well, what I don't get either is Charles is so not connected with the people that he thinks, well, these people don't like him because they don't know him,
Yeah,
and that's not the whole point of it.
right.
You
Exactly.
know what I mean? Right?
That's great
So,
insight. That's exactly right. He's completely, and that's why like that straightforwardness is kind of hurting him here because he is very naive. He doesn't see what actually makes his kingdom run. You're absolutely right. And if he
right,
can't see it, he can't
run
manipulate
it.
it, right?
Right.
So again, Hagano is a part of this, right? In a lot of ways he's a spark, okay, but he's not the entire fire. When you dig deeper, the real conflict is multifactorial, okay? Charles's focus on Lotharingia, huge problem. The aristocratic competition for royal favor, that was a deep problem. This regional power thing with the split up of the kingdoms, it was very, very common, but it was a really bad idea. Access to monasteries and specific offices at the court, um, xenophobia and resentment towards outsiders, even though they're like right next door. Okay. That's still the Lotharingians are not the West Frankians. Okay. So they view them differently. Um, And then there's this question on whether a king can govern without cooperation from its greatest magnates. Why is the king making unilateral decisions without talking to us? Remember, the king of France isn't going around city to city kissing babies and being like, "Oh, hi, I'm the king of France. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here." He doesn't he doesn't do that. He relies on his noblemen to control these sections of his kingdom. It's too dangerous to travel. Okay, so he's missing that point. just like you said, right? So Robert the First and this family that is waiting to replace the Carolingians, or trying to, right? Before becoming king, Robert is one of the most powerful magnates in West Francia. He belongs to the Robertian family. He had control of tons of territory, and he was a very experienced fighter. Viking raiders, um, he he was in those battles, so he's fighting the best of the best. But he's also very politically savvy. He has been navigating the kingdom's aristocracy for decades. So the rebellious magnates elevate him to king in 922 in direct opposition to Chuck.
Yeah, Robert the Complex. Yeah.
Instead of simple.
Yeah,
That's actually pretty good.
no, this guy, I'm rooting for Robert. I like this guy.
Oh, you're on the Robert side? That's interesting.
Oh, I'm on the Robert side. Yeah,
That's
he's
interesting.
smart. He's handsome. He fights. He's cool.
Yeah. I mean, he's an interesting dude. He's born in 865. And he's one of the most powerful people long before they declare him king. He's the younger brother of King Odo, which is part of the Robertian family. And it's really this military history that gains him all that prestige. The fighting of the Vikings. He was there at the Battle of Chartres in 911 when they defeated Rolo and basically subdued him into becoming part of their kingdom, right? So, and he helped force Rolo into those negotiations. So the guy is not an outlier, right? He is
Savage.
yeah, he's a savage. He freaking earned it, man, in a lot of ways. And his family, the Robertians, he's not like the first one to be powerful. This is a very powerful family already. And they will create the longest lasting dynasty in France's history, the Capetians. Okay. And his brother Odo had already ruled West Francia. And his grandson, Hugh Capet, he becomes king in 987. And that's what establishes the Capetian dynasty. So again, Robert's family is not standing outside the palace asking to be let in. They have already ruled this kingdom. They control half the guest list, right? And they're
Right.
basically measuring the curtains. They're coming back in. It's like
Right.
freaking Melania.
Oh, this guy's got it made. This is gonna be easy.
You think it's going to be easy for him?
Yep. Simple.
Simple. Nothing's ever simple, bro. So we also have to talk about Odo of Paris. Okay, this is Robert's brother. He had become famous for defending Paris against Viking attacks as well. And he gets elected king in 888. And his reign created a precedence. Carolingian blood was very important, but powerful magnates could choose another family when circumstances demanded it. All right. He's also known as Hugh. But anyway, he only rules for a year. His high point is defeating the Vikings in the siege of 885. And he greatly supported the aristocracy. And it really created a counterweight against the Carolingian line. But he spends most of his reign fighting Vikings and the supporters of Charles the Simple when he was very young. And he eventually reaches an arrangement that allows Charles to inherit the kingdom. But that
He's like,
precedent
he's like,
is
I'm
what,
done.
yeah.
He's
Yeah,
like, I've been fighting. I thought being a king, you hang out, and you wear nice clothes, and you eat chocolate covered food, and
you get laid constantly.
it's like what the hell?
This was not in the brochure. This is bullshit.
It's like becoming president and think you could say whatever, doing whatever, and then people get mad at you. Like, hey, I'm
Yes.
just being myself.
Yes.
We don't like you. You're an asshole. No, I'm not. I'm
I'm the best.
straightforward.
I'm the best. But even though his reign was very short, that precedence that he created was really important. Okay, the Robertians already had a trial subscription to the monarchy, and that is one of the reasons why Robert is elevated to king in 922, because they've already proved that somebody from the Robertians could do this job, right?
JD Vance.
Stop it. Stop it. I just want to know what name he's going to take, because Vance isn't his name. He's had like 5 different names.
JD's gonna take over.
JD the Simple.
JD the pillow talker.
JD the Pillow Biter.
Loves couches.
Those Now ICE is going to show up at my door. Um, so Robert, the family line is one thing, but again, he has a lot of political strengths. Okay, he already had a ton of territorial resources, ton of military followers from all his successes, family alliances. He pulled a lot of support among the really major West Frankish nobles. Okay. He's a war hero that defeated the most dangerous and terrifying threat that Francia really faced. And he was very connected to really important ecclesiastical institutions. Okay. So this is not some random usurper that woke up and found a crown in the field and was like, whoa, look at me go. He truly represented a competing theory of kingship. The king should be the man capable of leading the magnates, not just a man that's born from the most prestigious bloodline, right? So Charles had the brand name, but Robert had distribution and he had resources and he was an ass kicker.
Right, that's the same thing Kamala tried to do. I worked at McDonald's, because people want someone that has had blue collar experience.
Just imagining her at a McDonald's dealing with a dealing with a
Punk.
broken milkshake machine. Why
I
does
could
their
see how she
milkshake
dealt with getting raises
Why do the milkshake machines never fucking work at McDonald's ever?
because the employees are eating all of it. Have you seen the employees? They're sweaty, they're cross-eyed, they got pimples all over their face.
Dude, I don't know how they do it, because they're stoned off their ass working there. I don't know how
Oh
they
yeah,
don't eat constantly.
yeah.
So 922, Robert becomes king. All right. Um, in 922, the rebellious nobles declare Charles deposed, and they recognize Robert as the king of West Francia. He's crowned at Reims, and it creates this extraordinary situation where 2 living men are claiming royal authority over West Francia. Now, one of the historians, Flodoard, he says that Robert's rebellion and elevation, followed by Charles's return, leads to the battle the following year. Okay. Now, Reims is an important city in France, right? Super important. It's a major ecclesiastical and royal center. The cathedral there is insane. It is insane. And the archbishops in Reims played very important roles in legitimizing kings, right?
They're good at reaming.
God, those poor
Number
choir
one.
boys. Those poor choir boys. Oh my God. So, coronation doesn't automatically settle a succession dispute, but getting anointed by a sacred leader like an archbishop gave Robert's claim religious and political weight. It's super, super important. But Reims is a cool ass city, dude. And
Yeah, I went
Reims,
there last year. Is it by Stockton? Is it by Stockton, California?
dude, one of the airmen at the base here is from Stockton.
Is he Hispanic?
It's a chick, and she's yeah, I think she is. As a matter of fact, I think she is, at least partly. Um, so Reims plays a very, very important piece here. It's very, very powerful. The archbishop controlled a ton of wealth, stupid rich, okay? Tons of land. It's fortified. They have archives, and they control a network of bishops that could support legitimization or undermine the king, right? They have the power to go both ways. Um, Reims is probably most famous for baptizing Clovis the First, he is the one who brought Christianity to France, and that sets the standard for kind of consecrating the French monarchs. So it becomes a focal point of the country. And
So this is the
Charles,
hot chick in the bar. This is the hot chick in the bar. Everyone wants Reem. Hi, Reem. Can I take you out? Can I buy you? Your dad around? I got some goats.
Jesus Christ. Um, so Charles he's consecrated there too. He's crowned there as a young rival king. And Robert gets crowned there in 922. So the city's religious prestige made control of its archbishopric a central issue throughout the 900s and the struggle between the Carolingians and the Robertians, right? Um, and now West Francia has two crowned kings because apparently one constitutional crisis just wasn't fucking enough. It's just creating more and more freaking problems, man.
They're like, we're bored. Let's crown two and let them fight over us. Does sound like a woman in a bar.
It does sound like a chick. I just want to see who would fight for me.
Who wants me more? Pick his ass.
All
I'm
right.
prestigious.
God, I hate this planet.
So now what happens?
All right, so now we get a new character here. Okay, we get Hugh the Great. Hugh
Jesus
was
Christ, how many characters are in this movie?
oh, this is kind of it, but well, we got to talk about the Archbishop too. But Hugh the Great,
Hugh.
Hugh,
My name is Hugh.
and in French it would be Hugh,
Caramel
Hugh the
macchiato
Great.
for Hugh. His name's John. He just wants to look intelligent. Caramel macchiato for blind. That's
Oh
not your
my
name, Paul.
God. That's not your name.
We knew this guy that he would give his heavy metal name, whatever that means, Starbucks.
He was just so
Yeah. Caramel
like,
macchiato with extra cream for blind.
we got drinks for Nick, for Alex, and blind. Blind. And then this guy who's not blind walks up in a trench coat.
You're like a school shooter.
It was so embarrassing. Oh my God. Nobody else gets that reference, but I do.
Hey, I got a drink for blind and deaf. Anyone hear me or see me over here?
Guy's just standing there. I have a drink for death. Just wait on my drink. That's all. Blind is
I like
walking
you
into
ever,
people.
you ever see those people in Starbucks when Starbucks says, "Yeah, I got a drink for Edward. Drinks for Edward." There'll always be someone that steps in and goes, "Hey, drink for Edward!" Like trying to help out. Like, you don't work here. Who the fuck are you? Looking at my phone.
Exactly. And it's always
Like
like a
you're trying to be a
divorced
hero.
dad. He's got New Balances on with socks pulled to his calf.
You're describing me. That's exactly what I'm wearing right now. Hey, Edward, where are you, kid? All
Hey, guy,
right.
we got to get this moving. Where's Ed? Ed, party on?
To Hugh.
Yeah, Hugh. So
Don't forget about me.
this is
Wouldn't know.
that's fucking funny. Oh my God. All
So
right.
where were we?
So we're going
We
to
go.
talk about the young man. All right, Hugh Capet or Capet. This is Hugh the Great's son. Okay, he becomes king
Yeah.
in 987, and Robert's reign will only last really less than a year. Okay, but it's his
Yeah.
descendants that ultimately codify him in history, right? So even though his reign is brief, his family is playing the kind of long game that makes chess look impulsive, right? They are
Yeah.
doing this very, very well. Very well.
I got no comment on that.
So,
Great.
all right. Well, just to put it
They're
into
smarter
perspective,
than the kid. I got it. Yeah.
The Capetian line, just to put it into perspective, they rule from 987 until Louis the 16th gets his head chopped off in the French Revolution in the 1790s.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Wow, they
that's
did
the
it right.
importance of this one. Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be like the Trumps. Oh, crazy.
Get the fuck out of here. Get out. I'm moving to fucking Finland.
Look
Fuck
at,
that.
look at, look at. I'd rather move somewhere
Get out of here.
tropical. Get tan. You can be fat and
Finland's
have
like
a
the
tan.
happiest place on the planet. Fat
Yeah,
habitat.
but
That's
it's
the
dark.
Seychelles, man. Hell of fat Russians.
It's dark and gloomy in Finland. Oh, we're happy. Why are your wrists got marks on it? Why do you have death metal up there?
Oh shit. That's dark as fuck.
Why
Oh
does
my
death metal
god.
come from that
All
part
right,
of
we got one
Europe?
more. Yeah, that's true. That shit's fire though.
Clinton's
All
music.
right, so we got one more supporting cast member. All right,
Hugh.
we got a dude by the name of Rudolph of Burgundy. Okay, he's also known as Raoul of Burgundy. This is Robert's son-in-law. All right, and he is the
Oh
Duke
no.
of Burgundy. Yes, and he is going to participate in this rebellion against Charles, and he plays a big role after the fact as well. Okay, ultimately he will be crowned as well. Okay, dude's got a bunch of names, right? Rudolph, Raoul, Ralph, Rodolphe. Um, Standardizing medieval French is a lot harder than trying to overthrow a king. That's just the facts. Okay, from a historical standpoint.
Yeah.
France is so hard, dude. It is such a hard language. He is a very powerful Burgundian duke. And he is one of those guys that is involved in all the Viking fights. Okay. He fights against rival magnates. He fights against the Hungarians. And he fights against the supporters of Charles. Okay. And his ascension really demonstrates that the West Frankish throne was effectively elective, okay, among the great nobles. So neither the Carolingian descent nor the direct father to son succession guaranteed possession of the crown, and that's really what you can glean from his position in this whole thing. Okay. Why is my phone not charging? What the fuck is going on with technology today?
You sound French.
There we go. And then we have Emma of France. Okay, Emma is Robert's daughter, and it's Rudolph's wife. And that marriage is what connects Rudolph.
I swear to God, if you add another character to this, my brain is gonna explode.
We got one more after Emma.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ! Can it just be one guy versus another guy? Jesus.
It's never that simple, dude. It's never that simple.
Apparently that's Charles's issue. Yeah.
It is part of the issue. So this marriage connects Rudolph directly to the Robertian family, and it helps make him a logical successor in this line. Okay. She is the sister of Hugh the Great. I don't know, man.
She's
French
ugly,
chicks are hot.
But if you marry her, you got power.
100%. 100%. Yeah, you never married because someone was good looking. It was always because of politics.
And back then there was no razors, or the baths were not that great. So there was women with mustaches and women that look like me. Can I kiss you? I have power. I'm a Viking lady.
You have a really big clitoris.
As a Mohawk.
What's really interesting about Emma is when Rudolph gets crowned king, she is actually crowned queen, which is an unusual distinction. And it really underlined her own dynastic importance, rather than just being treated as the king's wife. Okay. Now, I promise this is the last guy. Okay. His name is Herbert le Deuxième de Vermandois. All right. Herbert II of Vermandois.
Thank you for translating.
He is one of. You're welcome.
Kermit the Frog.
He's. Frog's actually pretty good. I ate frog in France. It's pretty good. There's just not a lot of meat.
Your shit smelled weird after that. I just don't get why the French always think they're smarter than everyone else, and our language is tough. You don't know it? Fuck you.
It's honestly, it's really not the French as a whole. It's the Parisians. The Parisians can be dicks. There's a lot of truth to that. But once you get out of Paris, they're not quite that arrogant.
Yeah. Take him out. Time to take over Paris.
Good.
Oh, if America took over Paris,
Oh,
woo!
stop it.
Send
Stop
all
it.
those
Don't even put that out there.
send all those
That fucking
Parians
lunatic.
to fucking Arkansas or something.
All the Parisians to Arkansas. Roll Tide, baby. Alabama. Woo! So Herbert is one of the most dangerous political operators in all of West Francia. In the autumn of 923, this is after the Battle of Soissons, Charles meets with him to secure his support. But Herbert, knowing his place, seizes him and puts him in prison. Okay?
Oh shit.
Herbert is the guy that proves that the man who owns the prison can have more power than the man wearing the crown.
Damn.
Yeah. Dude's got stones.
That's a
for
fucked up.
sure.
That's a fucked up meeting.
Exactly.
I love the croissants you have, but you love them in prison. What? Eek.
I'm sorry, come again? Je suis désolé.
I have my boyfriend in prison.
Conjugal visits. So Robert's supporters agreed on one thing here. All right. Charles cannot return to power. That's the bottom line. But there was a lot of instability in this coalition, right? They didn't necessarily agree on who should dominate the new king and how land and offices were going to be distributed after the fact, or which families should rise, or what the post-Charles political order should actually look like. They weren't forward-leaning, right? They agree that Charles has to go, but they don't really agree on anything that comes after that sentence, okay?
Yeah.
So the rebellion starts. Charles comes back for his kingdom. Okay, he's not going to accept this deposition quietly. He gathers supporters, including Lotharingians, Carolingian loyalists.
Wait. How did he get out of jail?
That was after the battle.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, that's a year later. He has Norman allies, which are basically Vikings. Okay, and then he returns to West Francia to confront Robert. All right. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the exact strengths of the armies. That's not securely preserved.
We never do.
What we do sometimes. It just depends on the era and the region and the historian and all that stuff. But this time we don't have numbers, right? But what we do know is Charles' army, the strength of it came through the support of his dynastic loyals, the Lotharingian political network, those Norman relationships. He has personal followers that'll fight to the death for him. And there's a lot of people that still regard him as the legitimate king. And on Robert's side, this coalition drew upon the military households of the West Frankish magnates that had rejected Charles. Okay, they're not, you can't think of them as like standing national armies. Nationalism isn't a thing, right? These are assembled through personal loyalty to their own leaders and to Robert, landholding, family alliances, household service, regional obligations, and political interests, right? Nobody receives a standardized email telling them like where they're going to report and what unit they're reporting to. The army is assembled through blood and land and loyalty, favors, and the threat of losing all of it. And when you look at the warriors involved in this, we're in early 900s warfare. Okay, so you got to picture men wearing male shirts among the more wealthier warriors. They're going to have iron helmets, shields, spears, swords, axes. The aristocracy is going to be mounted, and they're going to have retainers as well. And then you're going to have, more lightly equipped infantry as well. If somebody shows up at Soissons dressed like Henry VIII, the battle's going to stop because everybody wants to know, why the fucker's so shiny, right? We're not in the 16th century. This is a different era. This is very reminiscent of what Viking warfare is going to look like. Okay. But again, I don't have the numbers. I can't tell you exactly how strong the troop numbers are. And we're not going to have solid casualty totals as well. So #casualties unknown, go buy the merchandise.
It's five
Any
people.
source, it's
5 versus 5.
It probably is going to be on the lower side. Medieval Europe, you're not going to have, it's not ancient China where you have millions of people that are going to be involved in this. Right. It probably in the thousands, and any source that tells you differently or claims to have precise numbers for a battle in 923, it's more than likely bullshit. Okay. One of the primary historians, Flodoard, he barely gives us the battle, right? But it's unlikely that you're ever going to glean exact numbers. There's no spreadsheet in a medieval SharePoint that you can pull from, right?
What's the other side look like?
He didn't. So that is the two sides, Robert and Charles.
Okay.
Okay, so then you get the approach to Soissons. Charles provokes this battle, and he marches against Robert. And Charles has a strategic disadvantage here, okay? But he has really strong fighters, okay? And it's a messy, messy event, right? Because when you talk about it, it's really hard to say, like, who the victor is. It really depends what side you're talking about, okay? Because one side is going to lose a king, one side is going to lose a kingdom, and nobody has a good day, all right?
Yeah.
And that gets us to the battle, all right? The Battle of Soissons, June 15th, 923. And the sequence of the battle is that Charles initiates this confrontation. And during this battle, it's fierce hand-to-hand fighting. This shit is nasty as fuck. And these kings are not sitting back eating grapes. They're involved in this fighting. And Robert, is in the midst of this fighting. And somewhere during that battle, Robert gets dead. Your boy that you love so much dies on the battlefield. He gets dead.
He gets stabbed and he's like, man, I should have been eating grapes. I should have watched this.
Yeah,
I was just so bored.
exactly.
The wife was nagging me.
Yeah, exactly.
Could have just put my laundry away and watched it.
Exactly. Now I don't have to do the dishes.
That's the last words.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a big deal. You lost your king, right? 9 times out of 10 in history, when a king goes down on the battlefield, that's it. That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
Right.
But that's what makes this battle so interesting, because Robert's coalition doesn't collapse after his death. And that, yeah, exactly.
Usually they retreat.
So they keep fighting. It's almost as if Robert's death becomes a rallying cry. And it's a testament to how well the Robert's army is designed to handle the loss of leadership. That's something that we instill today. You got to know what
Right.
people are doing. Like, you always know one level up and two levels down on what people are doing so that you can step in if something happens to the leader. It's
Right.
actually a really it's hats off to Robert for establishing a military that and an army that was able to do that. And when that
Yeah.
happens, everybody knows Robert's dead, right? Both sides
Right.
know this goes down. But when Robert's side doesn't collapse and they continue fighting fiercely, it forces Charles's cohesion to fall apart. And the battle turns against Charles, even though Robert's gone. And they collapse. Now, Charles is able to escape the battlefield. All right. And Robert's supporters retain control of the succession. Okay. So battlefield leadership is kind of the lesson in this, right? A king in the 900s has to remain visible enough to inspire his followers and rally men around his banner. He's got to issue commands and demonstrate courage. But that also makes him a very obvious target, right? A king in the
Right.
900s doesn't command from a secure headquarters at some forward operating base. He has to be visible enough to inspire everybody. But if you're
Right.
visible enough to inspire people, you're visible enough to get stabbed.
There's no phone calls. There's no video.
No, none of that.
No. Yeah.
You're shifted around like you need to take a shit.
And he was probably dressed nice to everyone. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So,
Hell
and
yeah, he was.
if I'm the other
Hell
side, I'm feeling like that first. Fuck
yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, that's the goal, right? If you can get close
Right.
enough, fucking yeah. So there's a crazy story that goes along with this, all right? Unquestionably, Robert dies in this battle, okay? The most spectacular surviving version says that it was Charles that did it. And it doesn't
Wow.
end there. Yeah. It doesn't end there, though. The story says that Charles personally drove his lance into Robert's sacrilegious mouth so hard that it split his tongue and came out the back of his neck.
He's like, suck this. For calling me gay.
Simple my ass, bitch.
Damn.
Yeah,
That's the way to
it's a
go.
crazy story. That's a crazy story. But modern historians, there's a guy named Simon McLean that says that this is a later story and it should be treated as apocryphal rather than like a secure eyewitness testimony. But I mean, it is a gnarly event and it has to be a part of this story, right? So it's probably legendary and a political thing. It's not, there's no medieval body cam footage, right?
Yeah. Hey,
But what a
make up the
fucking
story. Make a cool
exactly,
story up.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
That
it.
is cool
Like,
because
give Charles the credit.
I might want to die in a cool way so people talk about me.
Yeah.
Someone could do a podcast in
I
a
mean,
couple
if
of 100 years. He was eating a snow cone and fell over and it went through his mouth, through his head. The last words was, at least I don't have to do the dishes.
Alex Woody was eating a kebab like a dick, and he tripped and fell, and it went through his face.
That's the made up part. That's the made up part. Looking like a dick.
Exactly. But I think this is such a, I don't know, man. You don't often get detail like that, so I think it's just, even though it's legendary, man. I mean, for King Charles to drive his lance, and it's quoted as Robert's sacrilegious mouth, and he does it so violently that it splits his tongue in half and goes out the back of his neck. Right? That's not a normal death scene. That is a medieval author submitting an application to HBO. That is like the most cinematic. That's a movie, dude. Like, that is fucking wild.
Yeah, and it's the details. Like, is it made up? Because how would you come up with that?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, out of
Exactly. So there's
all the battles that you've spewed out of your sacrilegious mouth, I haven't heard a battle. I haven't heard about a battle where the leader dies and people stick around. Usually people
right.
leave,
Exactly.
you know, and they're like, I'm out of here. This was dumb. I'm taking my red
That guy
hat off.
sucked anyway.
Yeah.
They'll take the red hats off. You're like, this was stupid.
So, interesting. A lot
Yeah.
of moving pieces in this one. A big setup. It's like watching a long movie. You're like, let
Yeah.
me get to the lore, but it's important to know how important this city is, all the players
Right.
involved, and,
Right.
the characters.
So, yeah, I mean, and that's why I do it. That's why I do it. I know it's a lot of setup, but the context is important, right? And the sacrilegious mouth thing it's funny, but it's it's important because that language is heavy, right?
Right.
It's very political. It's moral. To a Carolingian loyalist, Robert was a usurper. Okay, he had accepted sacred kingship while the legitimate Carolingian ruler was still alive, right? It's not like Charles died and now people are fighting over who's going to be king. That's not the case. He has stepped in saying, even though he's alive, I am the God chosen ruler. Okay. So
Right.
the story is punishing the mouth that claimed the throne. And that's
Right.
medieval writers love to do shit like this, right? They never just say the enemy king died. They have to make it dramatic, right? God turned his mouth into a kebab because his constitutional theory was incorrect. It's really inflamed. Okay.
Right. They can never make it. They can never make it simple for us simple folks. They always got to be extravagant with the words.
Even with
get it,
Charles
with the
the Simple,
Harvard.
it's not simple.
We get it. You're Ivy League, Rick.
Super. Love that. Great. Keep talking about
Cool.
it. We love hearing about it.
I went to Subway University. I know how to make sandwiches. I read Goosebumps. All right, I got it.
Exactly. Oh man.
Well, that
So,
was a good one. Yeah.
I mean, there's more, young man. There's more.
Oh my God. There's more characters. Jesus Christ.
Not more characters, but there's more detail. We're almost done though. So, we can't prove that Charles personally killed Robert. There's no way to do that. But we know without a shadow of a doubt, Robert died at Soissons. And Charles personally delivering this grotesque mouth wound is a dramatic flair that gets added later on. Okay, so bottom line, Robert's gone. And whether or not Charles turned his skull into a lance sheath, probably legendary, but it's a great part of the story. All right.
Yeah.
And like you said, the kind of key point here is that they kept fighting. Robert's men kept fighting. His death doesn't end this rebellion. They had already rejected Charles and elected another king. They've committed their forces and they've exposed themselves to severe punishment if Charles comes back. Okay. So Robert's dead, but everyone around him has already committed treason against Charles. So surrender is really no longer a safe career pivot at this point. All right. And that continued momentum is not something Charles's men are anticipating or equipped to handle. So they end up routing or dispersing Charles's forces, even though Robert is laying dead on the battlefield. Right? And that's a bizarre paradox because Charles is alive, but his army gets defeated. And Robert's dead, but his army wins the day. Right? Robert wins the battlefield in the least personally satisfying way possible. And his army unlocked the victory achievement after the player, like the main character, is dead. It's a crazy circumstance.
But then
And it
Charles is
has,
like, you know, I lost, but the motherfucker's dead. So who's left
right,
now?
you would think. You would
Right.
think, but losing militarily is a big deal, even if you survive.
Right.
Okay. And
Now
Charles
you know military.
Charles is not Charlemagne. Okay. He's not, he doesn't have the political savvy to turn this into a political win. Okay. He doesn't transform Robert's death into an aristocratic surrender. Okay. He doesn't turn it into controlling political centers or gaining church recognition. Okay. It is not a restoration of his throne, even though Robert's dead. And most of his support dissolves after the Battle of Soissons. So he may have killed the opposing king, or at least watched him die, but he couldn't convince the kingdom to take him back. And that is super important, right? There's a very near contemporary source that says Charles was neither completely victorious nor completely defeated. And it suggests that the immediate military result may have really appeared kind of ambiguous. But politically, Charles suffered a decisive strategic failure because Robert's coalition controlled the succession to the throne. All right. So tactically, very confusing, inconclusive. Strategically, Charles loses. And politically, Robert's coalition gains a massive victory. Right.
Yeah.
And it ends up, it's a big deal. Now, casualties, again, we don't have an official number. Go by the merch, #casualties unknown. We do know Robert the First is dead. All right. And he's going to have additional losses there as well. We just don't know the number. And on Charles' side, the army is defeated or dispersed. And generally speaking, in a rout, there's going to be a high number of losses. So that could be in the number of 100, hundreds or potentially thousands. But I don't want to make it up, right? What we know is that the most significant casualty, every human being that dies matters, but the most important kind of casualty here is the political one, right? The historians chose to preserve the royal death and the dynastic crisis and betrayal over, the analytics dashboard kind of thing. All right. And that takes us to the end of this story here. Charles escapes. He is not captured during the battle. And he starts looking for allies because they're in short supply. But I mentioned that he gets imprisoned in the autumn of 923 when Herbert II of Vermandois tricks him into attending a private meeting. So Charles survives the swords, but he's defeated by calendar scheduling, right?
Yeah. Right.
And now Rudolph steps up, right? Rudolph of Burgundy. This is the son-in-law of Robert. He is now elected king, and he is crowned at Soissons, the site of the battle. And his selection preserved the victorious coalition without restoring Charles back to the throne, right? So Soissons transitions directly from the king got killed here to please welcome your new king. But
He
there's
had
a
it made.
question here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had it. That was Gucci as fuck, right?
Yeah.
But there's a question here because remember, Hugh Capet is Robert's son. So why not Hugh over Rudolph?
He was a moron. That's that easy. I mean,
I want to be king. No, not you, buddy.
Yeah. All right. Put your helmet back on. Play with your toys.
Here's a train. Go have fun. So the exact negotiations aren't fully preserved. Some of the reasons why Rudolph may have been chosen is because he was already acting as the Duke of Burgundy. He had status, okay? And his marriage to Robert's daughter puts him in that direct succession line. He also is an active fighting member of this rebellion. And Hugh the Great's possible preference for exercising influence without taking on all the risks of kingship. So this may have been like a House of Cards situation where he's like, you know what? It's not my time yet. And he had the intelligence to realize now's not the time for me to get into this argument. Let's let him have his day, right? And you see that throughout history. Yeah. And
smart.
You see that sometimes the strongest man doesn't actually want to be king, right? Sometimes he wants the king to owe him everything.
Well, he's like this in person in front of people. He's like, and when people leave, he's like, they bought it. Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
So Herbert II sets that trend in the autumn of 923. Charles is desperately seeking new allies. He attends this private meeting with Herbert, and he seizes him instead of supporting him. And he becomes a captive and a political asset rather than an active king at that point. Okay. Right. The most dangerous sentence in the 900s in France is Herbert would like to discuss something with you. It almost seems obvious in hindsight, but Charles just couldn't see the warning blinking. Like, this is going to involve kidnapping, dude. Like, he was so panicked, right? And he becomes a bargaining chip, okay? Herbert doesn't just kill him. He doesn't kill Charles off. He keeps him alive because a captive Carolingian king, that is tremendous leverage against Rudolph and other magnates, okay? Herbert could threaten to revive Charles's claim at any point. So he can get massive concessions for this, right? So Herbert doesn't throw away the key. He jingles it whenever Rudolph becomes a prick, he's like, right?
Right.
And Charles is just, he has the worst fucking time, right? He goes from king to claimant to prisoner to a recurring negotiation tactic. But while in prison, and he stays in prison, he ultimately does die, but it takes 6 years. So he's in prison for 6 years before he ultimately dies in 929. Rudolph's reign is from 923 until 936. Okay, and he faces repeated warfare, opposition from the magnates, attacks by the Northmen and the Hungarians, and it really reflects the instability of kingship in this period. And it's probably why Hugh didn't want it right away, right? So Rudolph runs in, he finally receives the crown, and he discovers that the benefits package includes Vikings, rebellions, nobles, and really no authority. We get Louis IV out of this. Okay. Charles's son, Louis, was being raised in England. When Rudolph dies in 936, Hugh the Great stood aside, and the magnates restore the Carolingian line by bringing Louis back to rule. Okay, so the Carolingians get canceled in 923, but they get renewed in 936 with the original king's son coming from England.
Damn.
And again, you got to think about Hugh, right? This dude is strategizing left, right, and center. He remained enormously powerful, but he chooses still not to take the throne. And that illustrates an enduring political principle. Sometimes it is safer to control the king rather than become one. Okay? Hugh doesn't have to become king. If the king can't govern without Hugh's support, why bother taking the throne? Right?
Right.
But ultimately, Hugh Capet, the grandson of Robert, becomes king in 987. And that establishes the dynasty that permanently displaces the Carolingians forevermore. So Robert rules for less than a year, but his descendants spend hundreds of years proving that dynasty building is a marathon. It's not just, it doesn't end with a spear wound. And
Crazy.
that's the ultimate lesson. That's the ultimate lesson of this thing. The Battle of Soissons demonstrates that early medieval kingship isn't just a hereditary game, right? And it's not purely elective. A ruler needs royal ancestry, religious recognition, military followers, aristocratic cooperation, territorial resources, political alliances, and enough judgment not to attend a private meeting with fucking Hugh of Vermandois, right? It is a complex situation. And the central paradox is that a king can die on the battlefield, but when the movement is strong enough and the strategy is clear enough, your men can continue the fight without you. That will cause the other king's cause to collapse, right? And Hugh is just brilliant in the way that he steps back. Rudolph's going to inherit this victory. Herbert controls the prisoner. Hugh is avoiding the crown because of all the turmoil. But his descendants eventually create the longest lasting line in France's history, right?
Well, and the fact that he was patient, and back then, especially like hearing all these wars and stuff, no one was patient. They just went for it. They did this. I need this land. I need this land, this wife. And this guy didn't do that.
That's
He played
right.
the game.
Yep.
This guy did not
100%.
have ADD.
And it
Yeah.
exactly. Dude was cool as a cucumber, man. That's it, man. That is the Battle of
That's the show.
Soissons, June 15th. That's
Make
it.
sure you
That's a wrap.
subscribe and
Part
share.
2.
Tell
That's
grandma.
right. Tell your friends, tell your mother, tell your wife.
And so, another chapter closes on the smouldering front lines, as our heroes with questionable aim and even more questionable life choices roll off into the haze once more. Historians may never fully understand what happened here today. Some say it was strategy, others say it was stupidity. Most agree it was probably the snacks. If you've survived this broadcast with your sanity intact, consider enlisting. Follow the show, share it with a fellow soldier, and prepare for the next mission. Until next time, stay alert, stay armored, and stay baked. This is Baked Battlefields, signing off.